Are you guys happy to see these reviews back? Yeah, the new episode came out today, so I figured, why not? Let's morph in, everybody. I'm MegamanNG, and I welcome you guys back to my Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review. We have reached Season 2, Episode 1, Believe It or Not. This episode review is going to be a little special because I'm not only reviewing this episode, but I will also provide my honest feelings about the upcoming 2021 Power Rangers series. And that's going to be a topic that will most likely be a separate video altogether. So anyway, here's the deal. I will provide a summary of this episode as well as some of the main points of focus. Believe me, I just finished watching the episode and I want to make sure I have all my thoughts gathered together for the sake of it. So without further ado, let us begin. Some time has passed after Evox's defeat. Devon is sparring with Blaze, and it seems that they are on very good terms. They see Devon's dad, the mayor, on TV, talking about plans to have another Morph-X tower in the hopes that they can continue having, a cleaner, better Earth. Everyone seems content, but the Ranger training that goes on gets interrupted when Silver, or rather Steel, brings some bad news. Evox is back. Despite bringing in a lot of evidence, the Rangers don't seem convinced. But Steel is determined to prove it, even if it means getting the Rangers involved in an investigation. Will Steel be proven right, or will the Rangers be caught in a threat unlike any other? That's pretty much the whole gist of my summary so far, and if you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it, because I'm surprised Nickelodeon still promotes this show. That I will explain later on, but yeah, it has been months. Because, yeah, I reviewed the rest of the episodes when they were aired in Australia. And if those other episodes get aired again, I will do the same thing, which saves me a lot of time and trouble. But yeah, Beast Morphers is back. The good news is that this is Season 2, so no Super Beast Morphers. Remember, this is the Hasbro era, not the Neo Saban era. And the Neo Saban era is one I can wholeheartedly forget, because dear Lord, there was a lot of bad. It really was. Just banking hard on nostalgia, not realizing that you don't need nostalgia to actually make it good. Have it stand on its own. But anyway, I'm thankful for that. Just Beast Morphers Season 2. But it serves as like one connected story. That in itself is not a bad thing. The plot of the episode has Steel detailing that Evox has returned. But the Rangers don't believe him, so he takes it upon himself to prove it. The Rangers don't need to wait that long. Why is that? They see some Tronic mooks trying to gather Morph-X that had leaked out on another Morph-X tower. Did I forget to mention that Scrozzle is back? I mean it. I had a smile on my face when I saw him back. I really like Scrozzle so much to the point where even his actor mentioned on Twitter that he praised it. I'm not kidding. He liked that I appreciate him, and that makes it all the more satisfying for it. And I'm happy Scrozzle's back after he got himself destroyed at the Season 1 holiday special. But thankfully he's back, and like I said already, I'm happy to hear his actor again. Scrozzle's like an evil version of Alpha 5, and it just works. It doesn't help that eventually during the episode they get captured, well, temporarily, because they had to deal with a new Robotron, which was much tougher than before, only for Steel to save the day. Did I forget to mention that Steel performed a morph in the air? I know it has been done many times, but coming in to save your friends and then morphing at the right time to do that, how's that for awesome? Evox's forces aren't playing around now, and even though the Evox is not around the cyber dimension, let's just say that his remnants are still around. They got something big, and they're not playing around one bit. My guess they were playing the waiting game in preparation for when they would strike. And strike they did. Jeez, they brought out Gigatronics, which is like giant mook-based monsters, and an upgraded Robotron, like an upgraded Gigatron. That's like crazy. But this episode also shows that sometimes you gotta improvise to take out the bad guys. And the Rangers really know how to do that. If there's one thing I will give props to this series, it's that it's consistent. It continues right after Season 1, and unlike the previous ones where sometimes the series would go well and then they get a downturn, the Hasbro era has been consistent throughout, and it shows. And it has everything that is just good. I really like it. Even the Ben and Betty segments. They are still far and few in between, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did, especially when they try to did jump rope, doing sparring, and the end of the episode where they're in scuba gear gearing up to get the Loch Ness Monster. Just shows that they are good. They are really, really good supporting characters. And I really do look forward to how their role will play out throughout the season. I really do. These guys are enjoyable and it makes it better. And it also makes it all the more worth it. But if I have one nitpick, it's that they still use the Cheetah Beast Blaster. Sure, it's meant to sell toys, but by this point, come on, don't you think that's enough? At least with the Gold and Silver Rangers, they don't need to use that. My guess is it's just only exclusive for the Red Ranger and his sword. Because in the Japanese version, Go Busters, they didn't need that. And I will also say that the episode does cement that Steel knows his stuff. I'm happy that the Rangers apologized to Steel because it turned out he was proven right. But you know something? The least they could have done was hear him out and not jump to conclusions. Because hearing him out would have saved them a lot of trouble. And the Rangers would at least listen so that way Steel could prove it. But I guess not. And I think in the end it did work out. Overall, this episode is really good, and it's a strong start to the second season. It feels familiar while offering something different. It's like the same thing, but now the story has changed. Evox is back, and it proves it by the Tronics, Scrozzle, and the new bots. It means that the threat's not over. Not even close. But I'm actually surprised that Nickelodeon is promoting this show a lot. Considering that Nickelodeon would rather support live-action programming rather than their animated programming. Like Rise of the TMNT, for instance. Yes, I'm still upset over this. But the fact that Nickelodeon would rather promote this show rather than other programming that deserves the love and exposure really shows how far the channel has fallen. And honestly, they should have died years ago. They really should have. I'm still upset over this. But I promise you this, that when I do review Rise of the TMNT, you will feel my unbridled rage toward the network. I'm probably going to boycott it by this point. And speaking of which, I also may plan on reviewing Glitch Techs, a Nickelodeon show that is on Netflix. I do apologize if I got off topic, but I will give this episode a 9 out of 10. It is a very solid, very good episode that serves to start Season 2 off with a bang. And it's already started off with a bang. And surprisingly, Evox did not appear in this episode at all. I really do like that they did not show him, because it at least builds up the tension. And sure, he was already seen and promoted, not to mention his toy. But I like that this episode, we don't get to see him yet. So that when he does show up, it just makes it all the more surprising for it. He's back, and he wants vengeance. And there's going to be a lot more coming, that I promise you. Normally, this is where I would end my episode review, but I also wanted to talk about something else. In addition to showing off a trailer for the Season 2 premiere, Nickelodeon Power Rangers also revealed their new series for 2021. And they're adapting a series I'd never expected them to do. But, in my opinion, I didn't see it coming. Yes, they are adapting Kishiru Sentai Ryu Soldier. I just call it Ryu Soldier because trying to explain what the actual title for it is just really, it's Kishiru Sentai Ryu Soldier. And it's gonna be adapted. Basically, they're going back to dinosaurs again. And part of my gut wants to say this. They're skipping 4 Sentai shows just to move forward to this. Because in Japan, as of now, they're going to be airing the final episode of Ryu Soldier, and I'll probably be binge watching that, but I'd rather binge watch Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, because I'm a big fan of the show. And the only reason why Ryu Soldier ever came out to begin with was because Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger toy sales reached an all-time low, a financial disaster in terms of marketing and toy sales, despite the fact that the series actually did well in ratings and was even nominated for a Galaxy Award. And the other reason why they wanted to go back to dinosaurs is because the Heisei era was coming to an end and now the Reiwa era had begun. So they wanted to have a dinosaur Sentai show before Heisei end, or rather in the start of Ryuso, like the start of the Reiwa era. Hence why after Loop-Pat, there was a 4-week Super Sentai Strongest special, which is actually pretty good. You should check it out when you can. But it makes me feel rather surprised that they would skip 4 Sentai shows. They would skip Tokyuger, a train-based Sentai series, which it was originally skipped to begin with because Haim Saban, I remember, mentioned that it was like the train gimmick wasn't going to work, that it was like all very Fisher-Price. I really don't believe what that guy says, to tell you the truth. And that in Japan, people still use trains. And here's the thing, in America, we still use trains. But most of us live in the city and we use stuff like cars, planes, and automobiles. Trains are hardly ever used except in some cases. And we have subway trains. We already have like trams and whatnot. In Japan, it makes a lot more sense because most of Japan is consisted of islands and you have to have like a lot of land. And trains are there just like not only for travel but to transport. The other Sentai series they skipped, I believe it was Zyuohger, because it was around that series that aired their 2000th episode. And it was called Dobut Sentai Zyuohger, the 40th entry of Super Sentai. And they had their 2000th episode. They're skipping that because it's a Sentai series with an animal motif. Not to mention their morphers look like Rubik's Cubes, and they thought that it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, but you don't know that. And then after that, they also skipped Uchu Sentai Q Ranger. They skipping that too. The only Sentai series that has the highest amount of Rangers at 11. And then they skip Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, which is what I mentioned earlier. They're skipping 4 Sentai series. Tokyuger, Zyuohger, Q Ranger, and Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger just to get to dinosaurs again. Sure, I can understand what they're trying to do it because they wanted dinosaurs to be popular and just trying to bank on nostalgia the same way Mighty Morphin Power Rangers did. And we already had previous dinosaur seasons before. We had the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We had Power Rangers Dino Thunder, which is a pretty good show. Dino Charge, I'd rather not say about it, but watch Kyoryuger? That's a much better. And as well as Alba Ranger. But the fact that they're skipping 4 Sentai series just to go back to dinosaurs again, I gotta wonder what's going on. Not to mention, 2021 will also be the year where the contract between Nick and them will end. And hopefully, what I mean to say is that regarding the agreement between Nickelodeon and Power Rangers, that 2021 is where it ends. And I pray that it does not get renewed because ever since Power Rangers has been on Nickelodeon, it has suffered left and right with the whole 20 episode per season mandate. That mandate should go far down to the deepest pits of Tartarus for all I care. But yeah, I hope it does not get renewed because times are changing. And in my opinion, Power Rangers should be on Netflix. Even if they have to split it 13 episode chunks, I wouldn't mind it if it means we can get Power Rangers again to enjoy. But who knows? I don't really know for sure because the only thing that I hope that they pull off a good adaptation of Ryu Soldier. I'm still peeved that they skipped 4 seasons for this, but I know Marcus did a stream talking about it, but this is just my honest opinion on it. So yeah, this is the big review. It's long, but what can you do? That is going to be it for this episode review of Beast Morphers. If you enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button. It means a lot to me. I'll provide all information regarding the 2021 announcement in the description below, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell. It all means a lot to me, and if you would like to support the channel, there are many ways. You could press the join button for $5 a month to be a channel member, or if you like, you can support me on Patreon. All it takes is $1 a month. Because a creator like me needs to keep going. And with YouTube getting worse by the day, what can you do? So anyway, that is it. This is MegamanNG signing off. Peace out. Let's morphin'!